Morning people. It's moving fast. Morning Alistair. Stuart again. BJ. Craig. Morning Mr. Milligan. Morgan Mr. McNee. Karen. Where are we? 77. We're doing well. Moving fast this morning. New iPad folks, eco-friendly. Unfortunately, eco-friendly iPads come with half the memory of the normal iPad, so they were out of my normal type of iPads. So I've got the stationery order me a box because these are no last long. They don't look as if they'll stack very well either and keep very well, so but we'll use them. So half the memory, twice the price on the new eco-friendly iPads from Noya Evolve. Right, where are we? Yep, that's 100 of yous on board. So let's get this broadcast underway. It's Indytruck Davy in the house at his home in Salisbury, where it's overcast and 12 degrees, although it does say it's going to clear up later. That's the weather forecast for Salisbury, North Lanarkshire. If you want to know what the weather's like with you, look at the bloody windy. Alright, let's get this review underway. Okay, this is the news review for the 14th of the 4th, 2022. And the latest coronavirus figures are, there were 4,196 new cases recorded on Thursday, and 2,042 people in hospital. And that's down 68 on Wednesday. 20 people are in intensive care, and that's down 3 from Wednesday. And there were 40 deaths recorded on from Wednesday to Thursday, I'm sorry to report, where COVID was a contributing factor in their deaths. Okay, so that's the latest COVID updates. It's still rampant. Whether the actual numbers that are positive, well, we'll get a wee bit more of that when we get into the report. Okay, so let's move on. Thursday started with two main themes in the rags. Fallout from PM's fine for Partygate, and for his party in June 2020 for his birthday, and speculation Bojo could face more fines for other parties. Alright. Now, the other headlines is the Home Office to send refugees seeking asylum in the UK to Rwanda. Alright, but we'll get more of that in the report and all. And the Herald was the outlier. The Herald went on the cost of living crisis and the fact that inflation rates are now at 7%. Alright, so let's move on. Thursday started. We had a survey out for the Scottish Chamber of Commerce, right, and it wasn't good. The survey shows that there is a lack of confidence in the economy moving forward. Now, I can't see me bloody writing here, folks. Alright, now what's got them worried is the cost of energy, the increase in taxes that they face with the NI hike, the labour market shortages due to Brexit, the congestion in the global supply chain, which isn't there because we already know that the global supply chain is moving fine, opening up for COVID. Most nations have had an 8% bounce in their exports. Only the UK has a downturn on exports, and only UK has a downturn in imports. Well, why? Because we put trade barriers up with everybody in the bloody world. Alright, so the the Scottish Chamber of Commerce, the outlook isn't good, folks, and the contraction has started really, really quick. The expansion for COVID is at an end. The expansion for opening up for COVID is at an end. We're now in the stage of contraction. Now, what this report says is that especially the retail and the tourist industry are worried that things are not going to go well this year, and that a lot of businesses are going to go under. There's a wee bit more confidence in the construction sector and in the banking service sector. But as we all know, if you look in Glasgow, the cranes that are up there, the tower cranes, they're all building bloody banks. Banks are moving to Glasgow at a rapid rate of knots. So the retail and tourist industry is not looking good. Manufacturing's, it's optimistic, but it's not looking good because they try to import raw materials and the cost of importing raw materials. And as I say, the tourist and leisure industry and the retail sector, they don't fancy their chances. A lot of businesses are going to go belly up for that one, alright? Moving on, Thursday, the Office for National Statistics released the COVID stats for infection rates in Scotland a day early because of more as a bank holiday, alright. Now, the Office for National Statistics say that 1 in 17 Scots now have the virus, and that's of the 9th of April. So 314,800 Scots are allegedly got the virus at this point in time. Now, that's down from the previous reporting period where 1 in 13 Scots had the virus, or 396,000. So when you take that's supposed to be the amount of the virus in the community, then 2,000 odd people in hospital is not bad actually. But it's really high, that there's a lot out there. Okay. Now, so Professor Linda Bald, she was on BBC Scotland yesterday when these figures were released, and they asked Professor Linda Bald what's the biggest danger going forward. And Professor Linda Bald said, new variants, reduction in testing, the opening up of the planet, and new variants. That's the fear. She also warns that the pandemic's not going away, and she echoes the warning from the World Health Organization. And you can go into the World Health Organization's website and see this warning. The World Health Organization is warning governments to slow down on easing up and opening up, because as international travel opens up and people move around, then the chances of new variants are even higher, especially as we don't have what's called vaccine equality, meaning that only the rich nations of the planet have been vaccinated, and the African states and third world states, they are melting pots for new variants. And as the world's opened up, travellers will pick that up as we share the variants for each nation and each nation. So it's early days. Professor Bald also says that she expects this to become seasonal, where we'll see a tapering off as the weather warms up, and as the weather cozies in the winter, we'll see it expand again. So it could well be that booster shots become the norm for the over 50s folks. The other bit of news on COVID that was released yesterday was that the Valneva plant and the Valneva in Livingston and the Valneva vaccine have been approved for use in the UK. Now, the Scottish Government have ordered 25,000 doses for frontline services. The Valneva vaccine is a more traditional vaccine, and what it has, it's a double shot vaccine, and what the Valneva vaccine is, it's a complete print or a complete inert print of the virus, and it goes into your body via this, and it teaches your body how to fight the virus. So, whereas the other vaccines we're getting, the new target spike proteins in the virus, the Valneva vaccine will target the whole virus. And it could well be the vaccine going forward where 2 shots, like the polio shot or something like that, or the mumps, measles and rubella shot, MMR shots, are just the 1 or 2 shots and it's over with. So it could well be that the Valneva vaccine is the way forward. So the Scottish Government have bought 25,000 doses for frontline services, alright? Right, moving on. And Thursday, here in Scotland, the Tory party launched their manifesto for the council elections for May. Dross gives a televised interview to say these elections are about running the schools, running local services, fixing potholes. Dross wants to steer away from the mess that's down the road, Partygate, and it would appear he's staying away from the Constitution this time and all. So, anyway, Dross says he wants to increase the length of the school days, provide tutors to help pupils catch up, and fix potholes. He also wants to slash council tax. But here's the thing, how is he going to pay for tutors? Because remember, education is funded for central government, it's just administered from local government. How's he going to, if he slashes council tax, how's he going to pay for tutors? How's he going to sort out the bins? How's he going to fill potholes if the council tax is slashed? Well, of course, the answer is he's going to go cap in hand to Westminster and ask them to break the devolution settlement by putting money straight into these councils. Because Dross has been always trying to buy the vote, but it's not looking good in the polls. Conservative canvassers are getting leaflets thrown at them and getting screamed at as they canvass through the streets. This has been reported in the press. And of course, after Dross gave his televised interview on launching the manifesto. He meets activists in Glasgow. Now, I don't normally praise Sean Clerkin, because, let's face it, he's on the loony fringe of the independence movement. And some of the stunts that Sean's pulled have been absolutely embarrassing to the independent movement. But by Christ, he didn't have Neil Dross to the wall yesterday. He sneaked into their activist meeting and Sean got it right for a bloody change. Mr. Clerkin actually did something right for a bloody change. And it was caught on camera. So if you want to see Clerkin rip Dross a new one, you can see it on my timeline, alright? I think it was Robert Bruce sent it to me, but it was absolutely hilarious. I think it's on the Glasgow Live web page. It's streamed, you know, and Clerkin didn't have for it Dross a new one on austerity, on the cutting of the £20 for universal credit, on the rise in energy costs. Sean actually got it right for once, so we'll give Sean a pat on the back for no embarrassing us for once. Well done, Sean. Anyway, the Tory manifesto launch was yesterday, but it's not going to help Dross no matter what he says. The Tories are going to bomb, and even Labour will do better than the Tories in this election, this council election. It's also reported down south that polling shows that the Conservative Party are going to lose 800 plus councillors down the road, so that's not going to go well. So the Tories are going to take a spanking, so that maybe usher Bojo's demise. I might bring in Bojo's demise a bit quicker. But I seen the Silent Klansman posted an article for I think it was the National Letters. They're saying, let's hope the criminal cabal stay in place. No, the criminal do stay in place, because it'll only boost the cause for Scottish independence. So there you have it, alright. Right, moving on. Moving on. I hope we're moving on. Moving on. Thursday, Patrick Harvey is front and centre to tell us that the councils need more control of their budgets. Mr. Harvey tells us that the SNP government, want to set up citizen assemblies to come up with a plan to replace the council tax. Don't need to waste money, time and energy on citizens' assembly. Here, Davy will give you the answer for nothing. It's called a bloody land tax. They get your civil servants to wrap their heads around it and get it bloody well done. Wow. It's no bloody rocket science. We don't need to set up citizens' assemblies for that. A land tax. That way people can't hide their bloody wealth or anything else. Just tax the bloody land, and if they don't pay their taxes, take the bloody land off them. Right, let's move on and go down that road to the House of Thieves and Carpetbaggers and see what's going on with the criminal cabal, alright? Conservative Tory paedophile Imran Ahmed Khan to quit as MP and trigger by-election in Wakefield. Now, what he says is that Khan took the seat for Labour in 2019. Labour had previously held the seat for 87 years and they're likely to get it back now. Right, now Mr. Khan, who is appealing his conviction, said he's standing down because his constituents deserve representation while he concentrates on trying to overturn his conviction for fiddling with a 15-year-old boy. Right, also down that road, man's jailed for 8 weeks for threatening behaviour towards Angela Rayner and leaving threatening messages on her answer phone. Now this guy actually hid her in tears by saying he wants to see her shot. Anyway, he gets 8 weeks. His name is Stuart Kelly, and Mr. Kelly gets 8 weeks in the pokey, but let's hope that 8 weeks is enough to turn them around, because, you know, it could be the start of something more nasty if he gets us up his hump that Miss Rayner's put him in the jail, and he's already said he wants to see her shot. So let's hope that's an end to it, and let's hope the police keep an eye on this lunatic when he gets out. Right, also down that road, a London Tory, a Tory Association chair steps down after pictures of him in a full Nazi uniform were sent to the Jewish News. Alright, Colin Davis has now been ejected from the Tory party, and he won't be standing as for the local elections. The Tories never change, you know, they are bloody Nazis. That's why you see them putting Nazi uniforms on now and again. You know, they're bloody fascists to their toes. Right. Also down that road, the leak into the footage of Mark Hancock getting it on with his parliamentary aide in his office when he was health secretary closes. And as usual with these leak inquiries, nobody's ever caught. All they are is an expensive bloody exercise which takes civil servants away from what they should be bloody doing to investigate these bloody leaks, which they never catch anybody for them. So just take it. The leak's out there. It's not as if you can take the leak back anyway. Just smack it, just take it, because that's what happens in government, especially Tory governments, because they're real backstabbers, you know. Right, moving on to the big story down that road. Alright, Home Office strikes a deal with Rwanda to outsource processing asylum seekers. But the thing is, as Davy said yesterday and has been confirmed now, there won't be any of these young men who are taken from the ports when they arrive in the dinghies and parted onto planes and take to Rwanda for processing. There won't be any of them coming back. Now, how do we know this? Because the Rwandan president gave a speech yesterday. Where am I? His bloody name. Right, Priti Patel, which did a deal with the president of Rwanda, says, well, I didn't write his name down, what am I doing? Anyway, President of Rwanda says that when they get there, they will be given education and financial assistance. It comes to light that it's going to cost 30 grand a pop to send them out there. And as I say, what the President of Rwanda was saying is that he wants to keep them once they get there. Because Rwanda's still recovering from the genocide in 1994, where the Hutu tried to take out the Hitsi, and that depopulated the male population of Rwanda really badly, and they're still trying to recover from it. So what's happening is we're sending them male young men who are coloured, giving them 30 grand a pop to look after them and try and brainwash them into the idea of staying in Rwanda rather than trying to get processed and brought back to the UK. So it's a one-way ticket for these kids. Once they land here, they'll be put in these planes and off they go. Now, what's interesting about that is, it just shows you what David's been saying about the UK elite being, or the establishment elite being white supremacists. Why aren't they sending Ukrainians to Rwanda to be processed? After all, refugees are refugees seeking asylum, is it no? The difference is, the Ukrainians are white Europeans, and these people are coming from war-torn Arabic countries and from Africa. And they're getting shipped back there at a cost of 30 grand a pop, but they'll be reprogrammed to stay in Rwanda. Simple as that. It's disgusting. And the First Minister, she quoted it as being disgusting and racist, just as I've been saying. I've been saying it all week. Guys like Rishi Sunak and Javed Savid, Kwasi Kwarteng, Priti Patel, they're all there as fodder to be thrown under the bus to protect the elite. And the power, privilege and patronage there is down that road in that House of Thieves and carpetbaggers, and that includes the pishy House of Lords. Alright, so as I was saying, that when the idea broke the day before, it really is disgusting. And that shows in the English papers this morning, actually, especially the right-wing rags. And which is really interesting is the headlines in the English papers and the Scottish papers are very, very different this morning. So I'm going to put both of them up on the screen because I'm at home. Right. So anyway, the pilot scheme will cost a 120 million. Priti Patel was in Rwanda, as I say, he signed the deal. And it's the Rwandan president, Paul Kagan, he said that he doesn't want them to come back to the UK. He wants to keep these young men and educate them in Rwanda and make them Rwandan citizens. So they're not going there to be processed to come back. They're not really outsourcing processing. What they're doing is they're being absolute racist, bigoted twats, putting these young men onto planes and sending them out to Rwanda, never to be returned. Now, it's going to start with the young men, but apparently eventually they're going to be shipping everybody out there. And none of them are getting reprocessed, and none of them will get processed to come back. None of them. It's disgusting. Right, now let's move on to the latest in Ukraine, shall we? Okay. President Zelensky tells the BBC that EU countries still buying energy for Russia have blood on their hands. Zelensky's not pulling any punches here. But there isn't an alternative for these nations to get the gas they need. Especially the Eastern European nations, you know, Hungary, Latvia, Lithuania, all these places. There's no alternative source for these people to get their energy. But Mr. Zelensky says that he wasn't aiming at Eastern European countries. He was aiming at France and Germany and the big Central European countries like Italy and that. Okay. The Ukrainians also celebrate a victory as the Russian Black Sea flagship Moskva sinks in the Black Sea. So there's a wee bit a wee bounce in the morale of the Ukrainians, especially in the south, because the Ukrainians have sunk the Black Sea flagship, the Moskva, which translates to Moscow. All right. Also, Putin threatens action if Finland, Sweden join NATO. Now, Finland and Sweden are seriously looking at joining NATO because Putin's looking like a real menace, and these two Black Sea countries could be in the forefront, so they might want to join the defensive alliance. All right, but Putin's threatening retaliation if they do. China is also. It comes out yesterday that China's no filling the gap in Putin's economy either, and no buying the stuff that he can no longer sell to the rest of the world, and that includes oil and gas. So it would appear that China's no bailing Putin out. But Putin is looking for new markets, and he's looking specifically at Pakistan and India. They're big markets, and they have a need to lift their populations out of poverty. And as we know, India struck a deal to take a lot of Russian oil at $35 a barrel. And when he was pressed on it in the United Nations, the Indian Premier just told the United Nations, it's no my war, it's on a different continent, I've got my own people to look after. If I'm getting offered oil and gas at that price, I'm taking it. You know. Also, in Ukraine, the Russians are claiming that Mariupol has fallen, right? The Ukrainians are saying there's still pockets of resistance there, but that's how it happens. That's what happens when a place is taken out. Then the oppressed or the defeated force, in this case, go underground. And they sabotage the efforts of the Russians to consolidate their position that way. That's what happens in war. You all remember the French underground in the Second World War. It'll not be any different in Ukraine. It won't be. Right. So that's an update on what's going on in Ukraine yesterday. There's still, of course, the reports of atrocities and civilian casualties and things like that, but that is war. That is war. Right, let's move on to this morning and see what the papers have to say. Okay. Let's go through the Scottish papers, then we'll go for the English rags. The Scottish Daily Mail has shame of pervert GP who attacked female patients. 48 female patients. That's a GP for Coatbridge who's been convicted. He's 72-year-old. He's got an MBE. And apparently he was doing it in plain sight, but nobody was reporting him because he was a doctor. He'll be sentenced sometime shortly. Okay. The Herald says UK to hand asylum seekers one-way ticket to Rwanda. And that's exactly what it is, a one-way ticket. They're not going to get processed. They're getting booted. They're breaking, the UK government are breaking international law on the rights to claim asylum and the rights of the refugee. It's disgusting. I say we'll get the English papers in a minute. The Times has PM wants first Rwanda migrant flights in weeks. Well, they need to get the law through the Commons first, and I don't think it'll be easy as they think. The Daily Record has Sturgeon slams Johnson's solution, despicable, evil and racist. Scots hit out at Tory plan to send asylum seekers to Rwanda. Vile scheme slammed as a distraction from Partygate fines. And that's exactly, that's a big part of it. You know, they want to move the press on. They really do want to move the press on. They don't want scrutiny. The Scotsman has fury and legal threats over cruel Rwanda asylum plans. And these are Scottish papers actually reflecting what the people of Scotland think. But I make no apology for saying that there are a bunch of racists in the elite down there. I mean, Christ, look at Bojo and his Piccaninny smiles and letterbox comments. Look at Prince Philip, for Christ's sake, asking people if they're still spear chuckers and things like that. The racism's in plain sight, for Christ's sake. Right, the eye has. Patel faces legal battle over cruel Rwandan plan. Right, the Daily Telegraph has. Russians parade captured Britain. And this is somebody who went out there and was fighting in the Mariupol, Donbass region, and his unit surrendered because they were out of ammunition and out of food. And they've got a picture of this guy who's been beat up a wee bit. What did he expect? Wow. And what's the other? PM will tackle politically driven lawyers as he defends plans to send migrants to Rwanda. There you go. Hey, that's it. Loony left lawyers. Remember Patel said that? Guess what? Patel doesn't know that she's getting set up to be fired under the bus. Right, the Daily Express, the other right-wing loony rag, says Tory pledge to stop war on motorists. You know, that's not what it says down that road. Right, the National goes, 8 years ago, Scottish Labour told Scots that the only way to save 1,400 jobs at this local HMRC office was to vote no. Yesterday it closed its doors for the very last time. Still think we're better together. And that's the Cumbernauld office where we were told would shut if we voted yes. It wouldn't have shut. What would have happened was the Cumbernauld office would have become part of the Scottish tax system, tax collection system, same as Centre One would, same as the Dundee office would, same as the Aberdeen office would. We still have to collect taxes in an independent Scotland, for Christ's sake. This is what we called fear-mongering and propaganda, and people fell for it. Wow! Thick as mince, some of our own people. But that's what I'm talking about, the middle classes, because these are comfortable civil servants' jobs, voting on their pockets instead of on what was best for their children's future. Right, and the Star up here has Jungle Star goggled at truth about Nessie. Scarlett had a lot to take in. And so apparently some TV reality star called Scarlett Moffat was ridiculed for saying the Loch Ness Monster exists. It bloody well does. Yeah. Man, this is Scotland. We have unicorns and monsters. That's what we have. Mental. Right, let's see what the English rags had to say today, will we? And we'll pick up the differences in headlines. The broadsheets are more or less the same, but the take on it down that road's a wee bit different. You know, I'll get the news up. Right, here's the English rags. The Times has PM wants first Rwandan migrant flights in weeks, same headline. The Mirror has Rwanda asylum scandal inhumane and it won't work. Fury at Johnson's nasty plan. That's impractical and will cost a fortune. 30 grand a pop apparently. The Guardian has Rwanda asylum seekers plan branded inhumane and Russian ship sinks in Black Sea after blast. These are the English papers, mind. The Eye has the same headline. Patel faces legal battle over cruel Rwanda plan. The right-wing loony rag, the Daily Mail, PM, I won't let the left wreck Rwanda plan. That's a different headline from what we have here in Scotland. The loony rag, the Daily Express has no migrant boat will go undetected. PM sends in Navy to control crisis in Channel and vows no migrant boat will go undetected. So no longer will it be the Coast Guard's responsibility. It's sending in the Navy to police the English Channel, get these migrants and get them on planes to Rwanda. The Telegraph has Russians parade capture Britain, same headline, and PM will tackle politically driven lawyers as he defends plan to send migrants to Rwanda. Bojo defending breaking the law. Who the hell's surprised at that? But the Star's where the biggest difference is. The Star in Scotland's talking about some celeb, right? But the Star in England today has got get out of jail free rosette for all dodge pots from the actual Home Secretary. I may be wrong, I may be a wrong'un, but it's okay because I've said soz. Now, what they're actually doing is ripping the piss out of the Home Secretary here in this one, because basically Priti Patel's defence of Boris Johnson was he said sorry, and so is the rest of them that broke COVID rules, so it's cool, forgive them. So guess what, my lord? Yeah, I did kill all the people, but I've said I'm sorry, can I go now? Wow. The actual person who is in office to uphold and enforce the law says it's alright to break the law as long as you say it's sorry. As long as you say sorry. You could not make that pish up. That is for sure. Unbelievable. So if you're one of the political elite and you break the law, it's alright, just say sorry and off you go. If you're a pleb, your fine stands and you go to bloody jail. You got to love the Tories. Unbelievable. Okay. So that's what I've got for you today, folks. I hope you found it entertaining. I hope you found it informative. So let's get to the usual stuff. Okay, partisan politics are in your pocket when it comes to the question of Scottish independence. And in these local elections, Davy says just all the political parties that are pro-independence, rank them, just don't rank the cuckoos in the nest, alright? SNP, Green, ALPA, SSP, Solidarity, whoever's done it, if they're a pro-independence party, rank them, alright? But when it comes to the question of Scottish independence, learn your how you gonies and put your partisan politics in your pockets. We have to get back to where we were in 2014, where we were out campaigning. It didn't matter what we thought the other side of the independence should look like. You know, we can argue about how we're going to decorate after we get the keys to the house. Alright? We will have an election after we get the keys to the house, and that'll sort out how we're going to decorate things. Okay, but up until then, eyes on the prize. In local elections, by all means, fight for a party you're a member of, or who's got the best manifesto. And the same way, Scottish elections. But when it comes to the question of Scottish independence, partisan politics in your pockets. Okay, now support the independent media. You know, David and I have set up a new channel. Stephen Kelly runs a couple of channels, and we have the usual guys, Caldon Media, Independence Live, Broadcasting Scotland, and all the independent vloggers and bloggers out there. And if they've got a crowdfunder going, you've got a couple of shekels in your pocket, throw them in the pot. Health messaging, we've just spoke about it. Alright, the pandemic's not going away. Professor Linda Ball's worried about new variants. So, although the law will change on Monday, and it will not be a legal requirement to wear face masks in public transport and in communal places, like shops and things like that, just follow the guidance. It might not be a legal requirement anywhere, but the guidance is still to wear the mask. Alright? So, face coverings in enclosed public spaces, clean hands and surfaces regularly, use your napper when it comes to social distancing, say to yourself, if I'm asymptomatic, how will it affect those around me? Alright? And testing, well, we're going to free lateral flow test Stokes on the 18th of April. But keep testing until you run out, and if you can afford to take a test a week, buying it down the road at Boots at £2.50 for lateral flow test that we the taxpayers already paid for, then, you know, it might be a good idea if you can afford it to keep going for a wee while. During the summer it'll probably really dissipate, and then the winter will be back. Use a lot look after yourself. It's the weekend. Yay! Weekend. Davy will be broadcasting for the house again on Monday. And the reason for that's quite simple. Because when I was asked if I would work Monday, I said, who's paying double time? And the agency, they said, nobody. I said, well, I'm not bloody working. I believe in workers' rights. They're not going to pay me what I think I'm due for a bank holiday. I'm not bloody working. Simple as that. You guys have a great weekend. Alright? Look after yourselves. We'll be back to do it all again on Monday.